Welcome everybody to this little recording of HoT Farm from my laptop, a Razer Blade 2016 version. So to make this upload faster, I'm recording on the lowest thing, and I'm just using NVIDIA GeForce Shadow Play or whatever that's called. Not OBS or anything special. And then of course my microphone is coming through the whatever the speakers are, so I'm sorry if there's any feedback or it doesn't sound the greatest. But let's just get started. I'll give you an overview of the factories first, since that's basically everybody could watch that, and then everybody's seen the map and most of the starting places except for truck. So at the end of the video, I'll cover those starting places. Just one quick note, I'll be going in order of my factory numbered list. Roy has also put together a separate numbered list for the draft that is in the draft thread. That one's just only for the draft. It has different numbers, and it's going to go away eventually. This one is a factory list, and I'll probably leave it up here for a while until we get used to playing the map, just so everybody knows where all the factories are and what all the factories have the capability of doing. Just one other general thing before we start. Most of these factories produce pallets. Every time I see a pallet, I believe that means there's a sell point somewhere else on the map. If it's not a pallet, I don't believe you can sell it on the map. Don't quote me on that, but that's the way I understand it right now. So right now we are at the milk pallet factory. This is going to be right here on the map, kind of right in the middle next to near the starting point. The inputs are milk, empty pallets, and cardboard packaging, and then it produces dairy pallets. So I'm not exactly sure what that is. You can look real quick up here, and I'm sure you'll be able to infer what a lot of these are. I think I went past them, yeah, but up here, so there's a couple sell points for milk, and then we get over here to all these products. So beer, fish, what is this one? Is that one sugar maybe? Or flour? That one's probably beef, so that's wine, or yeah, that's probably, no, that's wine. That's fruit juice, probably. No, that's fruit juice. Maybe that's wine. Yeah, there's a lot of these that I don't know. So it looks like boards, pallets, and cardboard packaging. I don't know what that one is. We have French fries and compost. I don't know what that one is. Anyway, we can figure that out later. But for right now, that's the milk factory. So then if we turn around here a little bit, and let's just go on over. So this is the default starting point. That might actually change. Right over here, we have what is called the, this is going to be the kind of the pallet and the cardboard factory. It's two factories in one. On the left, you have boards. I believe it's on the left. You have input of board pallets, and you produce empty pallets. Board pallets are made over at the sawmill. You have the cardboard factory on the right, and that requires wood chips and water as inputs, and then it outputs and produces cardboard packaging. Those are two things that almost every single factory requires. Definitely pallets. Some of them require cardboard packaging, not all of them. So let's go just a little bit more around the corner here, and this is going to be going up to, this will be number 3 on my factory list, which is the brewery. The inputs for the brewery are wheat or barley, and then you also have to input water and empty pallets, and it produces beer pallets. The brewery's back here in the back. Up front is just a normal sell point. So this is the brewery. That's what that does. And just one quick note before we go any further, you can see that I have changed it looks like I mixed one. BIERPALETTEN. I have changed, I'm trying to change all of the text here so that it is all going to be in English, just to make it a little bit easier for, I'm sure you'll probably get to know what your factory is. But this way it'll get it a little bit easier if someone else is walking around the map, they don't know what your factory's inputs and outputs are. Without having to look at the guide, they'll be able to look and see. So let me just record that. BIER. So that is going to be right there. So let me just BIERPALETTEN. Let me just make sure that was spelled right. P-A-L-E-T-T-E-N. Yes. L-E-T-T-E-N. Okay, so that is going to be beer pallets. Or pallets of beer. And okay, so that is now updated. And yeah, so it'll be in English. It'll be a little bit easier for us to read and understand. So that was number 3 on my map. Moving on to number 4 is going to be down in the corner down here. So let's move down here. So this is actually a sell point. Moving up to the north. Let's just go over the building. Moving up to the north just a little bit in this section of the factory. This is going to be, whoops, I got rid of my, 1 second here. Alright, yeah, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time editing this video unless it's really, really long. But anyway, number 4 is going to be, this is the French fry factory. So the French fry factory inputs potato, cardboard packaging, and empty pallets, and it outputs French fry pallets. Again, let's just try to find this trigger here. There we go. So you can see I have done pretty much a good job of trying to catch all the German language and translating it. So then we are moving up to number 5, which is going to be right around here. And this is going to be the sugar factory. So the products for the sugar factory are going to be sugar beets. Or sorry, the inputs to the sugar beet factory are going to be sugar beets, empty pallets, cardboard packaging, and then it outputs sugar pallets and lime. So that's going to be, where's the lime? The lime is right there, yeah. So that's going to be something fun that you could actually sell as fertilizer to other farmers. If you are a sugar beet farmer, this will be a great asset to have. You can give back to the map a little bit, or if someone else wants to farm a lot of sugar beets, then you can buy this in hopes that they'll sell to you. Now we're going to go to, this is going to be an interesting one. I believe it's next to the dam, which is right here. So let's gather this field, and let's go up here to overlook the grape factory, the grapevines. This is going to be a requirement of manure, so you're going to have to work in partnership with a farmer. So it's going to be manure, water, empty pallets, and fertilizer, and then it outputs grape pallets. And it looks like you can sell those grape pallets, or you can go over here with those grape pallets. That was number 7 on my map, so let's jump to this field. So at the grape pallets, or at the wine and juice factory as I call it, the inputs are grape pallets, water, empty pallets, and cardboard packaging, and then the outputs, the products, are going to be wine pallets and juice pallets. So you get 2 things to sell out of the grape pallets here. This could be, I don't know, I haven't done any tests. This could be very, very lucrative. However, you do have to work with some manure and getting some manure on the map. So that's going to be a fun thing to try and do. Since we're somewhat close by, I think we'll go to, where is it? Somewhere to the south. Down there is, yeah, just in the distance, you can kind of see almost straight south now. We'll just float over to it. Is the sawmill. That requires logs and fuel. Now, fuel for the sawmill, specific to the sawmill, is wood chips, wool, or straw. You can use all of those as fuel for the sawmill. It produces wood chips and boards. If you remember, boards is a requirement back for that pallet factory. You have to have boards for that pallet factory. So that's the sawmill. And then you have the, right there, yeah. So we finally floated close enough to it. And then if you look back over towards this, this green spot here, this is a very pretty spot. Let's go look at that guy. This is going to be the fishery. This is a very, very nice little spot. The fishery requires corn, empty pallets, and cardboard packaging, and it produces fish pallets. So I assume that, you know, it's some type of a fish farm somewhere out here. You're feeding the fish, I don't know, corn mash. I don't know exactly what you're doing with the corn, but somehow you know, it's some type of a fish farm, and it produces those fish pallets. So that's something that you get out of it. So that could be something fun as well. Moving into town over here, We have the butchery pretty close to the animal purchases. I believe it's just over here on the other side here. The butcher shop requires a livestock. Yeah, it's right behind this concrete wall. It requires livestock, empty pallets, and cardboard packages, and it produces meat pallets. So I believe those are probably sold at McDonald's along with French fries. So that's something that that you get to produce on the map. And it takes all livestock, so sheep, pigs, and cows. If someone buys this, they could get some pretty good money probably from the other livestock farmers, especially maybe if you're a pig farmer. Or if you want to help out the pig farmer, work out a deal with them, maybe you could both start printing some good money there. So then we're going to move on to number 11, way over here on the left-hand side, I think, right next to the shop. I discovered a coin here. So right, I believe it's here, right? Yes. This is, among many things, it's also a grass, well, it calls it grass cobs. There wasn't a translation for that. I assume that's grass pellets. Now, grass pellets, if you look up here in the animal category, it's the same thing as, I tried to work on a translation for that, but I guess it didn't work. But it's also a replacement to grass. So cows, to get to 100%, they'll need that to get up to 100% over the winter. So I don't know if the dairy wants to run this or someone else, but this is the grass cob factory. It requires an input of grass and wood chips, and it produces the grass pellets. So this is one thing I was not sure of. I don't know if you can sell the grass pellets or if that's only for the cows. I would assume, like most things on the map, you could sell these. I don't know. Is that a grass pellet? Is that a grass pellet? I don't know what some of these things are. I don't think anything else on there looks like... Oh, you can sell pig feed. I don't think anything else on there really looks like grass pellets. So I would assume it would be either one of those last two. I don't know. So that's something I don't know if you can sell that. So be careful getting that one. Number 12, we have number 12. Number 12 is going to be right, I should have looked at this when we were at the sawmill. Number 12 is right here. It is the flour mill. You can see a good old flour mill right there. So the flour mill inputs wheat, empty pallets, and cardboard packaging, and it produces flour pallets. So those are your inputs, and that's your output. Then we're going to go over to some fertilizer production. Now these are a little bit interesting. You can look into... Oh, well, I don't want that one because I'm stuck inside the building now. Let's try this one. Yeah. So right over here, you have three different buildings. The one on the left is liquid fertilizer production. You input water and fertilizer, and then you get out liquid fertilizer. So it's kind of like a conversion process. In the middle here, you have fertilizer production. So you input slurry or manure. No, slurry and manure. Slurry on the left. Slurry on the right, manure on the left, and then you output the dry fertilizer. Then the one on the right is seed production. You input either wheat, barley, maize, or canola, and on the right you have to input a little bit of fertilizer, and it produces seed. So I'm not sure the conversion ratios on those. I assume that it's profitable somewhat. At the very least, it's a conversion. Let's go north a little bit over here. While we have this area, this is a big bag production area. You basically, each one of those compartments, you input your desired big bag, and you produce it in either a big bag bulk container or like a pallet or a tote or something like that. So that's kind of what this area is. Again, I don't know if this is just for servicing needs on the map for other players or if this is something you can sell. I don't know that. That's something that you guys should look into for yourself as well. So we did the all of those. Let's go on to the composter. This is an interesting one all the way up over here. you have the, behind this building is another building. So basically when you buy this trigger, everything gets sold, and another building is, you know, you kind of clean it up, and it's a composter. So there's two different, it's like two factories for the price of one, essentially. You input straw, dry grass, windrow, or manure. So I assume you could also use hay bales for this. So you input straw, hay, or manure, and you get compost. Now, compost can be spread on other fields like manure, so you could essentially turn something cheap like straw or grass into fertilizer for other people, and with that plow bonus, you get, you know, a factor of 2. So that could be very lucrative. That's nice. Alternatively, you can also take that compost, the other side of the factory, the left side, it changes, it requires compost and empty pallets, and then it produces compost pallets, which you can then sell for, I assume, a decent chunk of change. So that one, you know, it's kind of a 2 process in one, and you get 2 different things you can do with that. So that one's kind of interesting as well. Let's change gears here now, and I will have to pull this up on the server. But we're going to change over to give, this is mainly for truck, but, you know, it's also just for the draft if you don't have your computer handy and you're just curious about the map. So let's just get started. Might as well start up here. This is also, oh boy, yeah, we can't do that because that's on the inside. This is also going to be just a clarification of the boundary lines. This is going to be the pig farm. The pig farm comes with 1 shed there, a hog shed, and a little bit of open space here to store equipment outside in the rain or whatever. And that's it. That's all the pig farm comes with. There is this going back over here. You have, this is going to be the dairy barn with the milk squirting from the udders into a milk pail. But that's the dairy farm right there. And the dairy farm is, I believe they, let's see, that's a slurry separator, I think. It turns, I don't know what that does, but it's an extra buyable object. Each of these, the pig farm and the dairy farm, both come with mixing stations, extra mixing stations that you can buy. You can see the edge of the cow one over there. It's for an extra fee. It allows you to mix up food, you know, so this will be power food for the cows, and that'll be, of course, pig food, which I believe you can sell on the map. So that actually has an extra benefit as well if you have an extra overage of crops. So the dairy farm is there. Yeah, so there is the machine shed for the repair shop, etc. It looks like that's a viable object as well. It's kind of halfway between these 2 farms. I would imagine one of them would probably buy it at some point or share it. The dairy farm comes with that 1 shed. That's the only shed the dairy farm comes with. The rest of this farm over here is, you know, including that second building, that building right there that I'm over. That's another shed. So this is a pretty big yard for probably arable operations. It looks like they have some, is that slurry storage? They also have, it looks like maybe seed and fertilizer storage as well built in. So that's pretty nice. That's another buyable trigger. I don't know what that one does. Oh, it's a fuel station. Okay, so that's a nice little fuel pump. And then there is an open silo storage pit here. So you dump the grains at each individual pit there, and then there's looks like 1 common silo for the output here. So this is a pretty big yard for those wanting to do some arable operations. That could be very, very nice for them. And let's continue on. You know, since we're kind of right next to it, the rule on the map is going to be that we're not going to harvest any of the trees unless it is a unless it's in a forest. And so this is a pretty big forest over here that is up for sale. This is one of the 3 forests on the map. Otherwise, obviously you can plant your own trees in one of these fields, but other than that, you're not going to be able to harvest trees unless you buy one of these forests. They are predefined, and you'll only be able to harvest logs if you own a forest. So that kind of covers that part of the map. Some other little, this is a random little shed you can see up here, so that's, you know, that's just a little random shed in the middle of some fields. And let's continue on. Here is the biogas plant. This is also for sale. And we'll zoom out here. This is a really, really nice yard. As a reminder, remember all yards will come as is, but you can place requests to add things to them in the future. So this one has quite a bit of stuff that you can throw out there. But as is right now, it's pretty open and empty, but it'll provide some expansion opportunities. Moving on, we have what is this area here? So we have 6. What is 6? Oh, there's another shed right there. So that shed is viable. This is just a fuel or a sell point. These things, looking on the map, these are for loading trains. So you'll be able to load trains. There's, I believe, 2 different train paths or 2 different trains on the map that you can choose from. That's the composter that we showed you earlier. Let's continue on just across the map. Here is a look at the other forest on the map. So right kind of on the other side of that road there, or no, that's the train. Right on the other side of the train tracks is another forest for you to harvest as well. The forests are not as pretty as Stoppenbach, to be honest, but also to be honest, the FPS on this map, I am recording and playing this map in really high detail, and I get 60 FPS almost over the entire map. So you got to give them that. They know how to build an online a map made for online play. Let's move on down to the sheep. So this is going to be the sheep pasture. It's got, what's that, liquid slurry? I don't know what those tanks are. I assume there's slurry storage for some. I'm stuck in a tree. But that's the sheep farm. It looks pretty nice, actually. That's kind of nice and cozy here in the middle of a nice little forest area. That's a really nice area, actually. I haven't really seen that before. So moving on down, I think we covered all those factories in the town. There's nothing really else of note here. Remember, we have the fishery there in the middle. Let's go back here because near McDonald's we have one of the starting. Where is it? Right up there. So we have, this will be for sale. This is this is where you load into the map. It's got, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4 sheds really, and it also has a little silo. I'm not sure actually the storage capacity of this silo, but right there it is. It starts out with the storage for the silo is kind of right above your head. So there's apparently a lot of room for crops up there inside that little storage shed. Oh, what is this? Yeah, that I don't know. Platinum Turbo didn't want to translate that stuff, so blame him. I don't know what's behind there. Okay, so moving onward, let's see. We have, what is this? I think we covered that one. That's, what is that? That's one of the factories. We don't need to cover that. We're looking at starting points only here, trying to get all the starting points for truck. Here's the chicken farm, which Roy has already drafted, so we I don't believe this is any longer on the table. But I show you this because there are a few other things nearby that, let's see here. So what is going to be on the table? Yeah, right there. So those little double sheds, that's actually a nice little section for someone who wants to start out on an arable farm really much in the center of the map. That would be a very nice starting point. Just a couple sheds, you know, if all you're doing is an arable yard, that's all you really need. And then, of course, there's plenty of room here to store some grain on the ground, and maybe a few fields behind you to buy. And, you know, this is something that you could actually do. If you wanted to, you could, say, buy this farm, then next year say, hey, Sem, I want to expand my farm onto those fields back there that I currently own. Well, that's something that I could do. Remember, all requests are going to have a base cost of $50,000, then plus or minus based on how big or small they are. So if there's lots of terraforming involved, you know, I'm going to have to level those things, take out a fence. That's going to probably be $100,000 or so. I don't know. We'll figure that out based on how much money people have and how much cost and work I have to do, and you know, to kind of simulate a real cost for things. But anyway, that's another one of the starting little farm areas. There's also another really nice starting area, I think right about here. Yeah, this shed is pretty big. So if you're doing an arable farm, and this, if you buy a couple of the surrounding fields, you could have yourself a really nice farm here. But that shed's going to be enough to store all of your equipment for years to come. So that's another really, really nice starting point. And let's see if there are any. There's a few other sheds spread throughout the map. I'm not really sure if there's really any other starting point, unless you want to buy a factory and just kind of store all your equipment there. In fact, you can see there's another shed over there. But overall, this map is very nice. It's very well optimized, and it is going to be a lot of fun to play, especially if we buy up some of those factories and have an economy. It's fun to grow crops knowing that I'm going to make beer. Or I'm going to sell my wheat to Truck so he can make beer, for example. Or I'm producing pigs that have manure that are Truck's going to be able to use for wine. Or I'm just using Truck as an example. But anyway, I think a map like this has a really good potential. It's got a wide range of fields. Truck, I can send you images of any fields that you want. If as we get further along in the draft, you can kind of see the setup from here. But basically, this PDA actually does a realistic job. Now, granted, it doesn't give you height, but it does a pretty good job showing you an accurate representation of trees. So you can kind of know whether or not you're buying a tree surrounded by forest, or if it's a little bit more open, there's no other trees in the area. So I think that should give you a pretty good look at the map. And like I said, let me know whatever else anyone else needs, and I will be able to do that to explain them. I'm going to go off to finish editing the map, and I'm going to go off and figure out things like, can you sell grass pellets? Stuff like that I just don't know about, and I want to know the answer. So I think that should be it, and I hope you all have a good draft. Bye-bye.